notorious left-winger Michael Eric Dyson said this.
There's a lot of antsiness out here now because of ISIS and what people see on TV, and yet at the same time, this is a religion that is ancient, that is honorable, that is venerable. Why is it that we get confused between the two? We don't do it with Christianity because there's a lot of terrorism going on and being promoted in the identity movement and white supremacist groups within Christianity itself.
Wow. Joining us now, my fellow co-host on The Five, Andrea Tantaros, along with Fox News analyst Alan Combs. Andrea, wow. Christianity compared to ISIS, radical Islam? Come on.
It's really loony. I mean, but if you listen to some on the left, for years they've been warning us that the biggest threat to the United States are Christian fundamentalists, right? If you listen to the administration, they believe that Hobby Lobby is a bigger threat than ISIS and treated it that way. Look, I'm sure, Eric, you could dig back and find one instance. I'm not sure what Michael Eric Dyson was referring to, but I'm sure you could find one instance of white supremacy. But to conflate Christianity, a religion legitimately of peace, with ISIS and radical Islam and defend radical Islam, to me is just shameful.
I don't think he was defending radical Islam. And let's not forget,
he sure was. He said we're getting all antsy about
Well, he wasn't defending it. He was defending the notion that we shouldn't overreact to something that's not a threat to the United States. But look, let's not forget the history here.
Well, you don't think ISIS is a threat to the United States?
No. I don't think it is. It's a regional
threat. You don't
threat.
think radical Islam is a threat to the United States?
No, absolutely not.
Really? Ask those 2,799 people who died on 9/11. I think they have a different answer.
9/11 does not... So it was 13 years ago, Andrea.
So hold on.
We're talking
it was
about
13 years ago?
Hold on.
And so that does not...
That is not a current threat to the United States.
Radical Islam? That was committed in the name of radical Islam.
What are you worried that Sharia law is going to come to the United States any minute? They're going to come and take over the country?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Come here?
I'm glad you brought up Sharia law because a majority of Muslim countries, according to a Pew Research study, which I happen to have handy, do believe in Sharia law, Eric. And Sharia law communities in areas like Minneapolis, Alan, are actually growing. And the difference between... Michael Eric Dyson was trying to say that Christians are homophobes. Well, you know what the difference is? Love the sinner, hate the sin. However, in Islam, it is to behead and kill gays.
Wait a second.
Very different than
Andrea,
Christians.
are you saying that that's what Islam stands for? You're saying in Islam it's to
I'm
behead
just telling
gays?
you what Sharia law stands for.
Sharia law is not about
do me a favor,
beheading
hold on.
people. That's inaccurate.
Argue
That's
the point
inaccurate.
that Dyson made in that he compared
let me have a moment to make that point.
To ISIS. He didn't compare Christianity to Muslim faith. He said to ISIS, a terrorist
both
organization.
religions, Christianity and Islam, are peaceful religions. In each religion, there are extreme elements. In the history of this country, we've had the Klan, who at one time said in the name of Christianity, by any means necessary, they wanted to go and commit acts of terrorism. And in fact, they did. You have the Army of God that has gone into abortion clinics. We have a guy, Eric Roederer, who killed George Tiller in the name of Christ. You have a history of those kinds of incidents, extremism that does not...
Is that how you took
I want to
that?
be clear.
Because here's what I hear. Here's what I heard. I heard ISIS, who wants to behead Americans, who wants to kill Americans who are terrorists, and I heard an event that may have been 50, 70, 80 years ago or more.
No, abortion clinics was not 50 years ago. George Tiller was 4 years ago. And I want to make it clear, this does not represent Christianity.
Wait, I thought you didn't care about things that happened a long time ago.
This does not represent Christianity. You're conflating 9/11 with Muslims coming to get us.
That happened a long time ago, Alan.
But you're saying because of 9/11...
We shouldn't care about those incidents,
Andrea,
Alan, because they happened a long time ago. Under your liberal logic, we shouldn't care about anything that happened over a decade ago.
That's not exactly what I said. You're taking me out of context. I said that Muslims are not coming to get us, as you're suggesting. And this kind of hysteria...
Tell that to the woman in Oklahoma.
This kind of hysteria based on isolated incidents is bad for the country.
Are you calling radical Islamic terrorism an isolated incident?
I am saying that you're pointing out some incidents that are scaremongering people and not properly representing a religion of Islam.
Let me just finish. I'm scaring people. I think the beheading videos have accurately scared enough people around the world. And by the way, more Muslims than Christians have died at the hands of radical Islam.
We have killed people
let me just
in the
say
name
that. Number two, I think 9/11, I think all of the incidents of radical terrorism that have happened for hundreds of years, Eric, hundreds of years, Alan. Radical Islam is an ideology that's been around for hundreds of years. I know you don't care about things that have happened more than 5 minutes ago, but it is a larger threat. And for you to blame it on Christians...
Did you just say that 5 seconds ago? I can't care about that.
For you to blame it on Christians, to me, just not only trivializes the deaths of people like James Foley, but it trivializes the deaths of millions of peaceful Muslims.
I want to be clear that Christianity is a beautiful and peaceful religion, as is Islam. And there are extreme elements in both religions, and we conflate the extremists with the huge majority of people in each religion
Yes,
that make it exactly what it is.
Dyson did. Michael Eric Dyson is
And
the one
I'm
who
saying that he had a
conflated.
point in that the army of God, these radical groups, anti-abortion, the people
are
who have killed in the
comparing-
name of Christ, have misused
You are comparing
Christianity
a handful
in some of the same ways
of radical Christians.
Islams have used.
Okay, let me do this. Let me do
With-
this. Well, hold
with
on,
radical
Ange, hold
Islam.
on one second.
Wow.
So what was the point of comparing them? What was the point?
I just
why
made
even
the
do
point.
Why?
No, but
Because
why
there are
even do
radicals
that? So
in
was
both-
the point to say
the point I'm making.
cut ISIS some slack?
No.
Is that what?
No.
Well, that's what it sounds like to me.
I can't speak for him. I can only speak for me.
Well, no,
I
but you're
wasn't inside
defending
his
this
head.
ridiculous
But there are
comparison.
extremists in both faiths.
So therefore, we should be cutting ISIS some slack. He didn't
No,
say
I didn't-
Muslims,
I'm not saying
and he
cutting
didn't say
ISIS.
Islam. He said ISIS.
Yeah.
I'm not saying cut ISIS slack.
Well, he did.
I don't believe we should be out there bombing them because they're not a threat to the United States. But that's a whole separate argument. I'm not defending them or saying we should cut
So what
them
should
slack.
we do? Hide under the table?
No, I think what we should do is what we're doing in West Africa is use our military to help people who need clinics who are sick and not send them to bomb Iraq and Syria where our weapons will wind up in the hands of our enemies
So radical Islam,
once again.
Your strategy is just defend it and defend people like Michael Eric Dyson
No.
who conflate it with Christianity.
I am saying that
and
I
do nothing to combat it. I think that's how I took
Final
it.
It's not our fight. It is not a threat to the homeland of the United States, as expressed by Jed Johnson, the Homeland Security Director. We are not in jeopardy.
Tell that to
and
the
we are
woman in
spending too much
Oklahoma
time
who's dead.
scaring people.
And tell that to the next American hostage who's next in line to be beheaded.
So
we're going to have to leave
we
it
start
right
a
there.
war because
Oh,
of
and
that?
the people at Fort
We gotta
Hood.
go.
Let's see, I can go on
Alan,
and on and on.
Andrea, thank you very much. A quick